Live cattle prices are skyrocketing, with 500-pound calves going from $1.85 per pound live weight in 2022 to over $5.40 per pound here in 2026. But why are these prices going through the roof? How long will they hold? And what would trigger a crash like we saw in 2016? The upcoming video will answer those questions and could be the most important information for beginners in the cattle industry. For a replay of the full 1-hour live stream with cow-calf producer Karl Abel, which includes how he uses regenerative pasture management to raise a cow for half the cost of national average, click on the first link in the description of this video.
Last time you were on the show was 2023. You were at $2.15 per pound for one of the 500-pound steers that you were taking to market. Today we're over $5.40.
Okay.
Now, we've had somewhat of a perfect storm. We've had inflation, drought. We're at record lows in terms of cattle inventory in the USA. Tariffs, bans for screwworms. Is there any one factor that you would say is contributing more than another?
Yes, really, if the drought was not just there keeping us on our toes, there would be more producers committing to that rebuild. We went through a little bit similar to this in 2014, and the rebuild was pretty quick, but we had rain and we had a lot of people that were willing to go ahead and say, okay, let's go. But now that the drought is hanging around, then that's going to be one more thing. Anytime you add with any investment, anytime you add uncertainty, then they're going to just hold back a little bit. And I think that's probably what's going on now.
So you would attribute a lot of it to just where we're at climate-wise. The drought is just causing people to they're selling their heifers instead of keeping them back.
If they had extra grass, they would be looking at it the other way. I keep telling them, I want to utilize this resource. But if they're like, man, if it gets dry, then I got to get hay and I got to do all this other stuff, then it's not going to come out very good.
Yeah, because when you're feeding your cows out of a brown paper bag, the profit's going to go out the window. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up a graph here because I'm hitting the cattle market questions pretty hard. Now, from 2013 to 2015, the cattle market was on a pretty steep ascent. And then in 2016, it hit a really big crash. You were in the market. You were in the business at that point in time. What's a little bit of context for what we're seeing basically on screen here in 2013 to 2015 and 16?
It's back to supply and demand. And so when the numbers started building after the high prices in 14 and everybody saw, hey, there's a little bit of change to be made here, I'm getting back in. They did, and they started building the numbers again. Well, then the favor shifts to the packers and the people that are selling the meat. And so they have the leverage, right? And so that's what you saw when the market hit the bottom in 16.
Now, explain that for somebody who doesn't understand the industry or the monopoly. How would something like a packer have the ability to influence such a downturn as we see here?
If they have more beef than they need, they can pause. But the people that are raising those cattle and finishing those cattle in the feedlot cannot pause. They can pause a little and grow those steers a little bigger in the feedlot, but they can't pause a lot. And the packers can use that to their benefit.
They have things like cold storage and inventories on the backside. So you're saying that in 2015 to 2016, we saw this horrible crash. You're saying that the packers were able to leverage inventories to stay in the market, purposely or not.
They just make a profit. That's what they're in for.
Interesting. So is there any parallel? We're here 10 years later. Will history repeat itself? Are we at that risk? What would contribute or prevent it?
I would say that's a very good question. And the same guys that were predicting the markets, they were predicting the rebuild when 14 kind of came to the high. And they said, okay, numbers they're starting to rebuild. They were pretty, not every little peak and valley, but for the most part, they predicted it pretty close. And those same guys now are saying the rebuild hasn't started yet.
So what metrics were they watching? Just herd sizes?
Herd sizes, they get numbers from the entire sales sheet, basically, of beef in the United States.
Interesting. So they're sitting there, the ones that predicted the crash that we saw in 15 and 16. They're saying we don't have the climate right now to recreate this in 26, 27.
It's not happening right now because it's not like raising something that has a quick,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
production time.
Yeah.
Because cattle, that's not the case. So it's going to take a couple of years before we see, wow, yeah, it's really started back the other way again. And they're not seeing that right now.
All right, this is a question. It's for somebody who's looking to get into the cattle industry right now. Would you recommend the new cowboy start his herd right now, or should he wait for prices to cool? What's your opinion on that?
I think that is a very good question, and I see where the guys are deliberating over some of that. And I think you're probably going to have 2 or 3 more years. The next 2 are probably going to be really good, and there's probably going to be a third one that's going to be good. So if you bought some heifers now to put the bull on this May, June, you're probably going to be getting back most of that money.
So say I went out and invested in a herd of cows, bred them. I could probably expect to have one good calf crop sale before the market starts to descend, just generally if you were to give your best guess. Yeah.
That would be my guess based on, you know, what these experts.
Right.
For a video on the meat packer monopoly and how it impacts prices for the cattle rancher, click this video next.